Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Dalton, for those of you that are new here, and I ride and race track, crits, do some adventures on the bikes, pretty much everything. But anyway, today is kind of an interesting one. I want to talk about something kind of specific. This is the Cat 3.4 CBR from a couple weeks back, and this course is ripe for a breakaway. So what I want to do is actually break down kind of my thought process behind when I want to actually make the decision to bridge to a breakaway versus when I'm just sitting in the pack and hanging out. I thought I would share that with you guys, just for clarity here. I'm a Cat 4. I'm racing the 3.4s. I have grown to make better decisions. So in the past, I've been really eager to jump across to pretty much anything that goes, but I've been working on kind of being more selective with what I see as a threatening move and what I want to actually bridge to. So if you're more experienced than me on the road and maybe you disagree with some of the things I have to say, I'd love to hear about that in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think. You know, I'm always learning and I'm up for constructive criticism. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into some of my key criteria for when you would want to actually bridge to a breakaway. So first things first here, I want to actually just break down these criteria that I use first, and then I'll actually show you guys an example of a break in this race that actually got off the front, and I ultimately decided that I wanted to bridge to that break. But first things first, let's talk about the criteria that I use to actually decide whether or not the break is worth bridging to. So first thing, the break cannot be too big. So in my opinion, if you get too many riders in a break, big breaks are easily disorganized, and then some people that end up there are just not motivated to work in that breakaway, and then they end up just wanting a free ride. Well, that's not conducive to a break staying away. Those breaks are typically not that dangerous, and they get a little bit too saturated for my liking. So number one, a break cannot be too big. Number two, so the break should actually be already established. So a lot of times what I was doing is, two guys would go and I would immediately launch and jump across to them, but they weren't working together. They didn't even appear to be working together. So a key point here is the break should be established. The riders, typically you want to hope that they are working together already, or they at least appear to be. And then also you want to make sure that the gap is considerable and that they maintain that gap for some length of time. Now, depending on the course, that length of time may change, and depending on your power profile, that length of time may change as well. But you want to make sure that they're maintaining that gap already. And then also, there's a couple key points that I want to touch on when I show you guys an example of this, and you'll see why an established break is important. Just to reiterate really quickly, though, I'm talking about bridging to the break specifically. I'm not talking about starting a break or being in that early move where you and a couple other riders actually make it happen. I'm talking about making the decision on when you actually want to bridge across to something that's threatening. All right, so that moves us on to number three here. The break has to be close enough to bridge, so you really need to understand your power profile. If you're a 5-minute power guy and you know that you can take 5 minutes to bridge to that breakaway, is that something that you're capable of, right? Maybe I'm not personally the best at 5-minute power, so I want to make sure that that gap is within 20 or 30 seconds, and I will actually end up bridging harder and faster at a higher wattage or a higher power profile than if I were to do a longer bridge at a 5-minute power profile if the break was, say, way up the road. So for me, I want to make sure that that gap is not too large that I can't get across to it and end up being stuck in no man's land, just dying, doing like threshold plus VO2 effort out there. Number four, you wanna make that bridge attempt when the field or the peloton slows down. So speed is critical. If you're doing 35 miles an hour in the peloton, then you're probably not going to get the separation you need to bridge by yourself, and then that basically becomes just a chase effort and not an actual bridge attempt. So speed is critical. Make sure that the peloton is not going too fast. Ideally, it's when somebody sits up, and you'll see an example of this to come. Number five, and last but not least, you really want to decide to bridge just before technical features. So technical features are tougher for the peloton to get through. On this particular course, there is a U-turn, so we will be able to talk about that. But something that I want to note is that it's harder for the peloton to get through some of these technical features. If you launch an attack just before those technical features, you can choose your lines. And it's important to note that breakaways often will not stick on 4-corner courses unless you just get the exact right makeup of like the strongest dudes in the group. Now, it's really rare. So the idea here is that you want to make your bridge attempt when it's time to do so and when those technical features are coming up. Now, I will talk a little bit more about that as we dive into this. So let's go ahead and jump into the breakaway that takes place in this race itself. We'll talk a little bit further about why I made the decision to bridge that I did. All right, guys, so fast forward here. We are about 15 minutes into this race. The break went up the road. The break is already up the road. That happened at about the 7-minute mark. So they've been up the road for about 8 minutes. Now, key point, like I said, early on when they first went up the road, the break was way too big. So that's number one, like I said. Too big of a break. I wasn't interested in bridging. There were like 10 guys, 15 guys. Now we're at a point where that break has whittled down and they've shelled a few guys that have come back to the peloton. Second really important thing, the break was well established. They had been out there for about 10 minutes, and we just actually had a preem lap, and we did not do much on the gap. So that was really important for me as well. So at this point, my teammate is actually up the road, and he's driving the pace of this, and he's bringing back that break quite a bit. So you can see I'm moving up here because I realized that my teammate is on the front. And I realized that we're about to get to a point where the break might be close enough to jump across to it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to slot up. This is actually going to put me in position to jump. You don't want to jump from way too far back like this because obviously everybody's going to come with you. And, you know, me, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, my teammate is on the front. He's doing a lot of work to chase this right now. But as soon as I launch to bridge, I know that he will set up and start just pedaling tempo. So, this is honestly like the perfect timing to go ahead and jump. So I want to be in position here. I want to be, you know, fifth, sixth wheel, whatever. And then I want to go ahead and utilize the inevitable slowdown to go ahead and launch. Another key point here, this is number 5, like I mentioned, is we're coming up on the technical section. So we're moving pretty good right now, but nothing too crazy. We're not doing 30 miles an hour. We're about to swing this right-hand turn, but then after this right-hander, we go into a left, a right, it goes down to a U-turn, and then it's a long drag uphill. You make 2 more lefts. If you look at the course profile on the upper right of the screen here, you'll see what I'm talking about. So we come around this corner, everybody sits up, nobody wants to take a pull, and this is the time, right before the technical section, just like I said. So I know my power profile, and I know that I can do a much larger effort for a shorter period of time, and I'm fully going to use that to my advantage in this situation. So one of the key points here, and in my own head in this race, I was thinking that I wanted to get across to the breakaway right before the U-turn, or, you know, just after the U-turn, because I know that the break can take the U-turn much faster than the peloton, so that's going to give us just a little bit more additional separation. Now, I don't want to get stuck here where, you know, I can't take this corner as fast as I would like to, but you can see here I made up a ton of time just braking later in that corner and then coming out of it hard. So I will patch this up here in just a second, and let's kind of see how things transpire. So as of now, you can see not everybody is motivated. I thought they were working well together, but it doesn't look like they're in, you know, a streamlined rotation. There's no clear, like, hey, this is the order of things. And these couple riders towards the back here look like they aren't necessarily motivated to keep everything patched up. Maybe they thought we were caught because I had just bridged, but we are not caught. So this is actually a good thing for me. I see he looks back, and there's only 5 riders that have sort of separated themselves from the total group. And I see that as an opportunity to sort of break from the break. And typically when this happens, I've noticed that a lot of breaks will stick in this kind of situation because the group will actually catch the 3 or 4 stragglers that have fallen off the break and think that their job is done, and they'll end up letting the main breakaway roll. So as you can see, we are drilling it. We're sort of falling into rotation here, but once I actually got across, I was a little bit upset to see that a couple riders were not as motivated as I wanted them to be. However, you know, it's a successful bridge attempt here, and we're still drilling, and then this flex rider actually starts to roll off of that. We get a couple more guys that have bridged across, and let's go ahead and hit it again. So now at this point, you can see the motivated individuals are really here to go for it. So there's 1, 2, 3 guys in front of me, and there are a couple guys behind that actually want to make a break stick, and I know these riders from having ridden with them before, and I know that they're extremely strong. We can make it happen together. So we're going to come out of this corner, and I look back, I do a quick check, and I realize that we still have a pretty decent gap on the field. They're not even out of the corner yet. So I holler that here at my brake mates. Hey, slide! We got a gap! I tell them, pace line, we got a gap. They look back, they realize it. And Mr. Hooten in front of me, he's a legend. One of the strongest dudes in this field, in my opinion, especially sustained power. I know that he's willing to work with me. And then Steve behind me is also an absolute monster. He soloed to victory at the Tour de Murray at a circuit race. So this is a good group of individuals. I'm confident in it. That's why I'm willing to come through here and take a pull. Now, spoiler alert, we eventually do get caught. Of course, I said this is about choosing when to bridge to something, and now my criteria are sort of fallen apart. You can see the break is way too big. We're not working well together. Not everybody wants to take a pull here. We're coming into the technical section still, and that's fine. But, everything is sort of just falling to shambles. And part of that is because, I'm not the only one that realizes when a break is potentially dangerous. And when I bridged, a lot of other people attempted to bridge as well. And so we drug, I think, goodness, like 6 guys tried to go up the road right after I did. And it's just, sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles, right? Not everything is going to stick. And in fact, most things won't stick. But in my opinion, this was threatening enough that I had to bridge to it. Now, I am really curious. What do you guys think? Would you have bridged to this one? Did it meet your criteria to bridge? And, on this particular course, do you think that it has the right set of technical features to stay away? Do you think that we are the right set of riders to stay away? Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below, and I hope you enjoyed this video overall. I'll go ahead and fast forward to some bonus footage here and let you guys see how the end of this whole thing shakes out. But until next time, take care. Like this video if you want to share it with other people on YouTube, or if you think I provided you guys any value here. If you think I provided you absolutely no value, then go ahead and hit that dislike button, and let me know why in the comments. Anyway, hope to chat with you guys soon. Enjoy your day. Let's go. Keep going. I'm still here.